Hey kids, you're listening to the internet's wettest podcast about video games, consoles, and pancakes. The SML Podcast.
Hey, what's up?
Howdy.
Hi.
What the hell is going on in here?
Who's dying in the background?
Eldritch summonings or something?
I'm dying in the foreground.
Cool.
Nice.
Well,
That's what happens when we get offered retired men's nude beach volleyball.
like
It just
I don't even know what
catches
the
everyone
niche is.
off guard.
Let's have a contest. Whoever donates the most bits can decide which one of us reviews the game against our will.
Sounds hilarious. I like it. Which also means
Yeah, that's good.
Oh man. Tim, are
That's
you in
how
on
make
that?
fun.
I don't know what's it for.
Steam.
You don't need to because you don't want it. That's all that matters. You don't
It
want
better
it.
be for
Tim
Steam.
just got nominated.
Oh God. Yeah, Tim's like, I don't know what it is. Congratulations, you win. What do you win? Hell. Literally. Also, how is everyone?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Oh,
How are you doing?
I got lost in all of it.
I just Googled retired men's nude beach volleyball, and that's not a good idea
So did
to
I.
do. That's
Oh wow.
You have to.
Let me
you have
add
to specify
Steam.
game, but yeah, not Steam.
Yeah.
You want to put in
Oh.
video.
I'm sharing this link in chat because everybody needs to see that this game is real.
where?
I
Well, it's
It's
made by
real
Humble.
and it's spectacular.
It's made by Humble Games. It's not as gratuitous. Okay, so one, like I was not really paying attention to what you guys were talking about in the chat, so I didn't realize this was actually a real thing. But yeah, it is.
After so many years, being involved with this show, I can say that it just didn't seem like the kind of joke that Joe would make up. But
yeah,
definitely,
I instantly believed.
I honestly did not believe because it just seemed like the sort of thing that would be like, why? Why does this even exist? In the first
Exactly.
place?
And that's how I couldn't make it up. And it's from the maker of Soda Drinker Pro. And if you've played Soda Drinker Pro, you know how fucked up that game can be.
Well, I also would have asked you how fake is Soda Drinker Pro.
Now,
So
that's a
that-
real game.
Christ on a bite. Why? Is
Because
it? How is it fucked up? Like what? It sounds like you're just drinking soda before throwing. Like drink as much as you can without throwing up.
it's weird.
That sounds like-
It's hard to explain. Are you familiar with frog fractions?
Yeah, sorta.
How
Lots
it's not
of- lots
really
of
a game
people-
about fractions.
Hold on.
Wait a minute.
You're telling me there's no actual math in frog fractions? What about amphibians?
There are fractions in frog fractions, but you are correct, and I don't think there's any actual math in that game. There are fractions and
Are there
How
frogs.
would you-
amphibians?
How would you describe this game to somebody who's pretending they've never heard of frog fractions before?
I'm not pretending. I have never heard of frog fractions.
Dude, you got to play frog fractions. Just Google it up. Actually, it's on Steam for free, so just do that. And that's it.
Wait, it's a
Loading
free
now.
game?
What?
Wait, it's a free game.
Yeah, just play Frog Fractions. It used to be a browser-based game, but they moved it over to Steam because Flash was dying.
Yeah.
And you need to not look into this any more than you already have, other than just boilerplate. It's Frog Fractions. You just play it, and then that's it, and you'll
Game
find
of
out.
the Decade Edition. I'm looking at it on Steam. It is free.
Yep, just play it. Don't,
So good.
and that's it. Just
Don't question
download
it.
Frog Fractions and
So,
just
Enjoy.
enjoy.
like,
That is
did I-
accurate.
You just have to trust in the process because
All right.
learning more will ruin it for you.
Next thing, tell me, is this in the same similar vein as, oh wow, what is this goat or this 2 girls 1 cup thing everyone's talking about?
No, it is not that.
I've seen.
Listeners, do not Google that one.
No, Frog Fractions is
Exact.
something I would inflict upon my best friend, not my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. In that case, I'll take
Yeah.
your word. But
Yeah.
God, if it was like the other thing.
Yeah, it's free
Like-
and it's like an hour and change, something like that. I don't know.
It's like a party of lemons or something.
Anyways,
Wow, you guys are really taking me back with all the references here.
I know.
Internet's golden age.
Once upon a time in hell. There was a limit party.
And we were all trying to date on OkCupid back then.
That is true.
Hey, I met my wife on MySpace, so that, or no.
Awesome.
Yeah, MySpace.
Sweet.
I had to think for a second.
Any of those things. So, I mean, hey. Oh, man. Frog fraction.
fuck yeah, Frog Fractions.
Yeah, so how's everyone's week? Obviously, I'm not doing an intro. I'm just keeping all this shit. So how's everyone's week?
Sweet.
I don't know about to play economics.
What?
Well, I'm working again, and that's no good.
Same.
What do you mean
First day back for
working again? I
me.
didn't know you stopped working.
Well, I stopped working the Friday before last, and then started working again Monday. In between, I was paid for it. It was a vacation, if you will.
Very
Ooh.
cool.
What?
I feel that, like,
This is like I don't know what that it means.
I was off
Yeah.
Black Friday and Monday of this week, and I went back on Tuesday and I talked to my boss today. She was like, "How you doing?" I was like, I don't even know how to do my job anymore. This is the longest I've ever been off since maybe 2014. So I don't even know how to behave right now. Like vacations, and I'm glad to know what they are again. But it was a long road to get back there.
You want to know
And
what I was doing in 2014?
the same
The
thing.
same
This
thing you're doing
fucking
right
show.
Honestly, it was only 1 year out from me starting my show, so it's like I get it. I absolutely get it. We just did our 6th anniversary show on Sunday, and it's surreal to think that I could be consistent with anything for 6 years. Though, in a sense, I've been consistent with this show for like 4 or 5 at this point, I think. So maybe the secret is podcasting. I don't know. Maybe that's the trick. Pernell, I would love you, but you're just not consistent with anything. Baby, look at my podcast registry. Look at this shit. I'm faithful and committed to
Don't look at mine.
Views. Don't look at mine. But yeah, like it's interesting that, like, you know, how long it took me to get back there, because before I would get 5 days of time off a year. That included
Jeez.
time, that included, you know, the state would get like holidays, and we didn't get all the holidays that they got. So if there was a state holiday, we had to use one of our 5 vacation days to pay for it or work.
Wow.
Jesus.
It sucked. Suffice to say, I haven't been sick in 6 years. So
Yeah, well, you haven't been. Yeah, you've been sick.
You haven't been allowed to be sick.
Yeah,
there,
exactly.
Joe caught it. Joe
That's the
caught
correction.
it.
Yeah.
Been sick 6 years because I ain't giving up PTO for that shit. Screw it. But now I get sick time again, so it's like, bless you. And anytime I come across a person who's like, I just don't get enough of it. I have like 4 weeks. I get 4 weeks a year, and I need more. I deserve more. And I'm like, you do. Everyone deserves more. But to say you just don't get enough, fuck you.
No one gets enough.
Like, no one well, the thing is, it's the logic of like, do you want more and deserve more? Of course you do. But there's a difference between saying like, I don't get enough in the vein of like, man, we spend a lot of our time working throughout our lives. That's one thing. It's another thing to be like this idea, like knowing the scope of like how vacation works for different people in the workforce in this day and age, to be like a month of PTO and sick time. Nah, fuck, that's terrible. It's like, are you kidding me? Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a tale.
So my job is weird, like, because they have what they call on paper unlimited PTO. So what I think that means is that they just, you know, because they take it case by case when you like one off and stuff. So it's like they don't have to pay out, you know, vacation days that you're not using or whatever. But I like the language of unlimited PTO because I'm like, man, I could just not go to work and just take PTO forever. And then I was like, I wonder how many people are already doing that, because I wouldn't have run into them yet. They'd be off work. Like there's 20 people that work here, and then there's like 300 that are just not.
The idea of unlimited PTO sounds rather intriguing to me.
I always like anything like that. I'm like, there's a catch.
Yeah, that would scare me if I were interviewing with a company and they were like, hey, our policy is unlimited PTO. Like, from that, I would be worried that means that it's just really hard to take time off. Like, I don't know. I see
unlimited PTO because, quite frankly, you need to carry over as much as you can because you'll never spend it.
Yeah, I've been a service industry my whole life until last year. I just kind of broke into the corporate realm. So I know how it is to like fight for 5 days off the whole year. And when you're off work, it doesn't feel like you're off work. People are still calling you. So this past weekend was my first experience having time off, like while everybody else in my company has time off and nobody can bother me. It was pretty sick.
Yes. That's what it's all about.
Pretty sick and not in the way of like, sick days.
Yeah, and I'm allowed to get sick. So that's kind of cool. I've leveled up in my life finally.
Like, it feels good sometimes.
Who's playing what? I hear a game.
It's not me. Spike got done playing something.
Can you still hear it?
Not anymore. I don't think so.
That was probably me. I have the kids we were in the background. It was me. Yeah.
Speaking of games, like, did we, not the review segue, Joe. Speaking of games, we just had a holiday weekend, which included holiday sales.
Oh boy,
what was the damage? What was everyone's damage?
Sheesh. I got some like silly co-op stuff that I'd like to try with my partner, just couch co-op junk. I got that thread game 2-player for
Unraveled.
Switch. Yeah, it was like $3 and my friend said she liked to play it with her husband. Anything that I think is a decent couch co-op game, if it's just a few bucks, I'll always throw down.
I can dig that. Yeah, honestly, if I had access to couch co-op, I would have bought that because I am into that kind of stuff myself. Like, if you want a couch co-op game that I'm not sure if it's available anymore, I think it's at least on Xbox One still. If you want a good couch co-op game and you're okay with the ability to have frustration matters with your partner and not hate each other, Explosion Man is where it's at.
Okay,
and Miss
cool.
Explosion Man. Like,
I think those are available on Xbox One still through good old backward compatibility.
Yes, fantastic games. Like, I still bring those up. People are like, top co-op games. People will say like Streets of Rage 2. And I'm like, well, I love Streets of Rage 2, but that's nostalgia top co-op game.
Yeah.
Let's get more recent here. Explosion Man, get on that. No one talks about
recent Explosion Man. That's like 10 years old, Pernell.
I said more recent, and it fits because
I don't know, that sounds like nostalgia to me.
Those rose-tinted glasses with Explosion Man.
Yeah.
I mean, in my defense, I could get some more. I can get more recent than that too if it came down to it. I have
like Scott Pilgrim.
Oh, shut your
That's also like 10 years old.
I think that was
the new release.
Because
it just got re-released on current platforms. So that is a new release.
By that
I'm sure Streets of Rage 2 has been released on something in the last year.
Exactly.
Its initial release date.
And it will be released again next year, of course. Streets of Rage.
Wait
a minute.
How angry are they? Explosion Man was shit. And also the endings the ending music is so worth earning because, dear God, it's amazing.
What, like, Donuts Go Nuts?
Well, that's in the normal game.
Donuts.
There's a different song if you beat the co-op. Like, I do love the Go Nuts. Actually, I tell you though, Go Nuts for Donuts is the song that just plays during the game. But I don't think that's one of the ending themes.
Let's eat just one or two.
Good voice, Tim.
Donuts for donuts. Donuts. Oh, donuts.
Hey, Pernell just comes in and steals the show vocally.
I don't even know what's going. He wanted to talk about what sales we got. Now we're talking about Explosion Man.
He can't stop. He can't stop taking tangents.
He can't stop tangenting off of his tangents.
You also can't stop Mr. Domino, but that's another thing entirely.
That's a tangent. That's a whole other thing.
That is a whole other thing.
Pernell. No one can stop Mr. Domino.
Damn right they can't.
That's a hot new release too, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I picked that one up fairly recently.
Oh, speaking of recent things, something that people should be paying attention to right now, No Gravity Games is going to be doing a holiday giveaway on the Nintendo eShop starting December 1st.
Wait, is it similar to what the QUByte thing was, where you had to get maybe that was QUByte, you had to get all 12
you buy
of them.
One game, then you get them all free in sequence. Yeah.
Yep. No Gravity Games is doing the same thing. You start, the The first game on the 1st is Creepy Tale. As long as you own any No Gravity title, you get that one for free. And then the next day is Star Horizon, and if you own Creepy Tale, you get that for free. The day after is Strike Force Kitty. If you own Star Horizon, you get that one for free. And it's going on all up until Christmas.
Yeah, and I do own Strike Force Kitty, so...
So keep an eye on the eShop and get some free shit from No Gravity Games.
How many of those I own, I wonder, because I want to get in on that action my damn self.
Who was it that did that 2 years ago as well? Was it the same?
I want to say it was QUByte.
That might have been QUByte.
I think it was QUByte. Yeah, because I did that. I got all the QUByte games.
And there were some good ones in there, too.
Yeah,
I think so. I didn't play them.
Well, this is like how you mentioned Strike Force Kitty. Like there's like a volley of games that they offer, and there were already like one or two that I straight up had. So I'm like, I can vouch straight up. These are good games. So
the Wallachia Chronicles or whatever it's called, like that Castlevania knockoff. Like I actually have that on my wish list. So that's
is that on this one that Joe just talked about?
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah, in that case, there's that right there. That's a good one because I want that.
It's worth gathering
money for that.
It's worth gathering up other free games for.
Free stuff's always good.
It's worth smashing some walls for some turkey.
Non-free stuff. I dropped a significant amount on a game for Black Friday, but it was a huge discount. So I dropped $128 on Biomutants Atomic Edition, which normally runs $400.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, it was down to $128 on Amazon, and I'm like, you know what? I've bought worse for more. I want this stupid statue. So in the next few weeks, I'm going to have a giant Biomutant statue hanging out next to my alien in the back.
Nice.
Which means you better play some of it at least. Because
I've played a bit of it.
To. Oh, so you've already played some of it?
Yeah, I have the game digital. We got it for review. It's fun. It looks really good too. So it's a solid game.
I'm sad.
Funny enough, like for my Black Friday weekend, I didn't buy as many games, but I received finally my Darius Cosmic Revelations Special Edition.
Oh, I saw that. How is it?
Oh, it's great. Of course, it's as I predicted. Darius Burst DX Plus has unreadably tiny text on the Switch in handheld mode, but playing that game in handheld mode is exactly my dream come true because I've been wanting that ever since I bought Darius Burst Chronicle Savior CE on the Vita. I was like, I want this on Switch though, and now I have it. And they do include Sagaya on the Game Boy, which is just amazing. It's my favorite shooter on the Game Boy. I actually bought my copy from Japan before everybody else knew about it, and drove the price up.
Look at you.
Yeah.
It's like that Godzilla game you have, right?
Yeah. People did drive up the price of that one. At first it wasn't so bad, and now it's like $100 for it, but I got for $50 I got the game plus Gojira-kun Kaiju Daikessen, which is the Godzilla that we got in the US on the Game Boy, which if you didn't know, is just this trashy little lovable puzzle game. It has nothing to do with Godzilla, and I actually speedrun it. I can beat it in 45 minutes.
Oh god.
Because of an in-joke. Because the game became an in-joke, so I was like, I bought it for $10 and learned how to beat it quickly.
Well, time to apply for Games Done Quick.
Yeah, I know, right?
Get you to GDQ for the awful games block.
I actually, so my friend who's a pro streamer had a event at his house called Awesome Games Done Eventually, where he just had his friends come over and play the best approximation of a speed run. And I definitely did that a couple of times. So there's actually video of me playing Godzilla on Game Boy with a triple size beard.
Nice.
Yeah, it was that era. Anyway,
I also had some more Darius enter my life because I bought one of the collections on the Nintendo eShop because it was half off. Which means it was like $30 instead of $60. I got the console collection is the one I got.
That's a good one. Yes.
So yeah, it's they came out and I'm just like, I don't really want to pay $60 for that. And it's been sitting in my wish list for a couple of years now, waiting for it to go on sale for more than 25%. Yeah! And it did. So I made good on my promised to
Hooray.
myself to buy some Darius. I waited them out, the fuckers.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you for that, because I didn't know that one was on sale. So now I'm looking at Darius. Maybe
Yeah,
I'll
you
buy
might
one of
need to
these.
get in there quick. I think today's the last day, though.
It is
Yeah.
5 hours left.
It'll be on sale again, like in about 20 days. So
Right.
So
Speaking of thanks, a quick
Classic
thanks to
Collection
Root Beer. Shut up, Pernell. I have something important to say.
Thank you.
Shout out to Root Beer, who subbed for the 30th month, and also earlier before we went live, Vertically Impaired subbed for the 45th month. That is crazy.
Nice.
Wow.
We've been streaming for like 4 years. What the hell? And I have nothing to show for it. Ha! What were you saying, Pernell?
I don't know anymore. I see the fuck everything. Also, I will ask, because this question serves me, not you.
Whoa.
What's there in between collection arcade and collection console?
So the Go ahead.
It's different games. Yeah.
Yeah, one's
Like
arcade
they're
games,
fully
one's
different
console
games.
games.
There's no it's not ports or anything
Yeah,
like that.
it lists them on the the store pages, but like the console collection is like the original Darius for Super Nintendo and Supernova and Sagaya and like Japanese versions of those games, and there's another one on there too, I think, because the console version has like another game, and then the arcade collection is a bunch of arcade Darius games.
Yeah, the arcade
Okay.
collection is like, it's as many games, but it's more like versions of the same game. So really,
Yeah.
you're actually just getting like versions of Darius and versions of Sagaya. And is that the one that Gaiden is on? Darius Gaiden? I can't remember if it's on the
I don't know,
console.
I don't have it
or-
in front of me.
I think
I
it's
think
on that one because
Chris
console
does, don't you?
mention the
You have it in front of you. Fire it up.
It's not in front of me. It's on my shelf. I bought it physically, remember?
Yeah. I thought
but anyway,
it would be in your Switch.
But Gaiden's really, really good, and of course, original Darius is really, really good. No, I have the new Darius that I bought in my Switch right now, actually. And then the console version, yeah, it's got 2 TurboGrafx games, 2 Super Nintendo games, a Genesis game, 2 Genesis games, I think, actually. And so it's all the home ports and stuff. But really, the stars of the show, I think, are the Super Nintendo and Genesis games there, because the TurboGrafx, one of them is just a kind of truncated version of the arcade original, and the other one's just a boss rush. But I mean, it's a boss rush that if you wanted to buy a card of it, it would cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Because
Is that expensive?
yeah, the fans have ruined this franchise.
Jeez.
When I first got into it, I could not play most of the games because of high costs. Because I played
Yay,
Darius
rarities.
Twin. Yeah, I played Twin like 20 years ago and really, really liked it. And then I was like, oh, there's another one, Supernova. Oh, I can't find it and it's too expensive. And then eventually I did get it, but it's like, and then these collections came out and I snapped them all up and got the special editions and everything like that. And I was like, I'm not missing it this time.
See, now you guys got me thinking about this. Like, is this something I would want? Do I want to buy this $30 collection of game? And Tim said he did.
Or do I want to buy a
I mean,
$400
I love Darius,
statue of
so-
Biomutant?
It made sense.
I could definitely say it's not hard to, not impulsively spend $400. Just say it. $30 I could think about. $400, I wanted to impulsively buy a new TV because I feel like apparently I want a 75-inch TV now because I saw a friend get a bigger TV. He's like, no, I want a bigger TV. No, my TV's too small. TV envy. And I went to like 2 different Targets. It was like, look at the TV. Like, I could buy that right now. I have enough store credit to buy that right now. But then I walked the fuck out. No, there's no do it. Because at the end of the day, the way I was able to justify away, I was like, I have no idea what I'd do with the other TV I got. And it's a big TV. And I'm not going to just give it away. So it's like, I don't know what I would
Facebook
do.
Marketplace.
Then someone was like, I'll give you a nickel and some gumdrops.
Throw it in your bedroom or throw it in the hall. Throw it in your bathroom.
Yeah,
Just
taking a shit,
wall mount
watching
it.
TV.
Wall mount it in the shower while you're taking a bath. You could just look right up and
There it is.
there you go.
All the majesty of TV in one place. The pissery.
Oh man. Anyway, should we get to games? We got a lot of games to talk about tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
Tim's
segue.
like, yes, please, God, get us off this
I just
train.
looked at the clock and I was like, I feel like this has been a while. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it has.
Good.
Yeah. So, first game to talk about tonight is called The Kids We Were, developed and published by GAGEX. Anyone? GAGEX?
GAGEX, like Gary Gygax.
GAGEX, the lizard from 3DO, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, released December 2nd on the Switch for $15.99. The Kids We Were is a cinematic adventure game with a heavy focus on narrative. Set in the late Japanese Showa era, the 1980s, it's a nostalgic journey through a unique time in Japan's recent history. Take on the role of Minato, a young boy who sets out on an unexpected and incredible summer adventure. Chris, tell us about your time with The Kids We Were.
Oh man, The Kids We Were. So yes, this is a walk around kind of adventure game. It's actually almost like a visual novel in the sense that it's not about like there's a collection aspect to it that's like optional, but like really it's just about walking between set pieces and talking to the right person about stuff. Occasionally you'll have dialogue choices that will affect certain things, but ultimately it's just all about experiencing the story. Yeah, like I said, you are Minato. You're an adorable, blocky little boy.
Hey, I'm not blocky, all right? I'm just a little fluffy.
Little fluffy. Yeah. But yeah, your voxel boy is like bouncing around with his family and stuff. And then like it quickly becomes apparent that some things are not going right in this kid's life. And so I'm going to, in order to entice people to want to check out this adventure, I'm actually going to spoil the first 20 minutes or so, if that's okay. Cover your ears if you just want to buy it. Ears. Yeah. But you know, it's like it doesn't get interesting until like the story really starts. So, but anyway, so yeah, the kid is he's having a rough time with it. You know, his family's having a rough time. Single mom, a little sister who's not doing great, but you know, is full of life and energy and stuff like that. And so they visit their mom's hometown. And she goes off to do to attend a memorial service. And so the kids are like, let's go off and do stuff and everything. And, you know, one thing leads to another. And this kid ends up on
the run for murder. No.
Yes. No. The kid ends up like sort of sneaking into the ruins of a shrine where a thing has fallen, supposedly a meteorite. And so this kid's like looking at this meteorite, and then suddenly a man appears and is like, "Oh, hey, recognize me? I'm you from 33 years from now." It's like something really bad is going to happen, so I need you, or something bad has happened, etc. I need you to go 33 years into the past and change things. And I can't tell you what exactly you need to do, but here's a book of clues. And so your kid gets sent to the past to, 1980s Japan, and basically makes a lot of friends and makes a lot of connections and tries to change some things about the future that may lead to disaster, may lead to good things. Who knows? But it's all about kind of, and another caveat is that it's Back to the Future rules. It's the kid can't change things in a way that would affect his own existence. And because, it's one of those linear time path type of things, not just like the alternate reality ones that Marvel tried to push on us. It's like a Back to the Future rules kind of story. And the fact that it takes place in the 80s and stuff, like I definitely got vibes of that film from this game, but I shan't say no more. So yeah, it's basically all about, it's a mystery throughout. Like you don't figure out, well, there's some things that the game lets you figure out way before your dumbass 11-year-old kid figures it out. And so you do get to spend a good portion of time going, come on, he can do it. But yeah, it's largely just like going around and doing kid things, essentially, like, making friends, talking to people, lying your ass off about who you are and where you're from. And
kid stuff.
Yeah, just kid stuff. And yeah, it's just like it becomes this story where there's so many little like threads that kind of connect. It's not just about like a sci-fi like time travel story. It really becomes about like emotions and like really like there's points in the game that actually get really real, like dark even. And so
the developers told me it's not a super long game. It's something you could beat in like 5-6 hours, but they said it will make you cry. And Brooke, can you confirm that?
Yeah, Joe was hitting me up earlier, and I was like, hey, man, sorry, I'll be right back. I'm wiping the tears out of my eyes from the kids we were. But, I play a lot of visual novels. I play a lot of, like, heavy emotional stuff. While I think this game will make you cry if you have any kind of soul, I want to say, like, it doesn't feel like you're playing a sad visual novel. The gameplay feels really fun, and the sad story just kind of sneaks up on you. It's not if anybody's played Persona 4 and loved walking around town, this game felt just like exploring, what's the town's name in Persona 4?
Inaba.
Yeah, this felt just like it. It looked and felt just as real as that town, even though it's voxel graphics. It's incredibly beautiful. It just super feels real and explory. I was super, super impressed by that. I thought voxel games could be pretty and realistic and super engaging, but this is like, it's just a gorgeous game.
My first exposure to that was The Tourist with a Y.
I wanted to play that. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It's actually an action game with like puzzles and stuff, but it's just the way that they do details and shading and lighting is like really, really good. Yeah, big shout outs to the kids we were for having really nice looking skyboxes.
Yeah.
Like, cause the sky is actually
skybox.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, dude. This game like took my breath away graphically, and I'm not a voxel like graphics fan, but like now maybe I am. I don't know. It changed me, dude. I think the soundscape was awesome. The music was great. If you liked Erased, this has a really different plot than Erased, the anime, but
that show was great.
Okay, that if you loved that show, like, you need to play this game, dude. Like, anybody who thought that show was an achievement, it's really no spoilers to say that it has themes in common with it. I just think anybody who liked that would just adore this game. This game's like one of the best animes I've seen.
It's very true. Yeah, I got that too. It also reminded me, especially for the fact that it has, like, it's one of those games where it's not especially long, but like 30% of it is the ending.
Yeah.
So, which
like a lot of anime.
Yeah, I also experienced that with The Longest 5 Minutes, which is occasionally I would call it my favorite Switch game. It's just a really, really good game that I knew I was going to like, didn't know I was going to love. And yeah, like this game kind of, it gives that vibe too, because a lot of it kind of deals with memories and friendships and connections and stuff like that, while in this kind of, wrapped up in what appears to be like something that you think, oh, this isn't going to be much of a game, so I'm not going to try it. But no, this is actually a really legit experience, and yeah. I'm not even going to say anything about the ending besides that it's long. So I'm not going to say whether it made me cry or not, because you all already know what makes me cry. But no, yeah, it was
bad barbecue.
Yeah.
Bad traffic. The game has won a bunch of
traffic.
awards on mobile, and this is the complete edition with some brand new content. It's sitting at $15.99. What do the two of you think?
Buy it, man. This is
it.
Serious buy it from me. This game blew me away. This is pretty much like all I had time to do over the holiday weekend, and I'm so glad you tossed me this code, dude. I just think this game's a real achievement.
Yeah, I agree entirely. And yeah, the bonus content, by the way, is post game bonus story.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
So,
okay.
Little bit like Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which has this whole other. Well, they added like this whole like 20-hour game to Xenoblade Chronicles, a 100-hour game. What?
They added more.
Yeah.
Long ass game.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird post-text. In Xenoblade's case, I don't know about Kids We Were's case because I haven't finished it yet. I finished the main game, but not the bonus content.
Yeah, same. I'm sitting in
looking
that
forward to it
right now. That's what Joe heard earlier. So
Nice. Well, sounds like a good one. Hopefully that sets the pace for the rest of the show. Next game to talk about is called Little Bug. Oh no.
That was perfect.
I just felt like, oh, we're going into a Tim review. Let's try and set this up nicely and see what happens.
May this mean something good. It won't.
No, this one looks cute. I hopefully
way less ornery this week.
Not as much fuck you to the games this week.
No, I don't think anyone reviewed this one before or the other one I'm doing. So.
Well, this game is Little Bug, developed by Buddy System, published by RedDeerGames. It released November 26th on Xbox One and Switch for $12.99. Step into an adventure story about a young girl named Nya trapped in a dangerous fantasy world where evil pink spirits lurk in canyons, ice caves, and moonlit deserts. I almost said desserts.
Delicious.
Yummy.
Moonlit desserts.
Yummy moonlit desserts. Tim, tell us about Little Bug.
All right. Cool. Little Bug. All right. So right off the bat, Pernell would hate this game because you can't jump.
I would hate this game because you can't jump. Good memory.
Completely biased. Again, it was only a week ago.
Did not know that.
That was perfect, by the way. I respect that.
So this, it is your little girl. Like she is like walking home from school and it's weird and funky. And then she gets home and has a fight with her mom and then seemingly leaves the house. And then things get weirder and funkier, as she is trying to get home or deal with some inner turmoil, depending on how you, interpret things, or both. So it is a side scrolling, left to right, platformer, though you don't jump. The only real mechanic in the game is you have a little glimmery bug, the eponymous little bug. Well, your mom already also calls you a little bug, but in a more derogatory fashion, and that is what spurns conflict. But anyways, you have like this little beacon of light that flies around the screen that you control with the right stick, and you control your girl with the left stick. And basically, so you position your bug, and then you pull the trigger, and then you will tether to that bug, and it will send you a swinging. So that is the main and only traversal mechanic in this game. It is all about swinging from your bug over pits, over obstacles, hazards, through the environment, over pits, etc., etc.
Is it like a pitfall swing, or is it like that Donkey Kong King of Swing that was on Game Boy type of swing?
I did not play Donkey Kong King of Swing on Game Boy, and I really didn't play a lot of Pitfall when I was younger, or older for that matter. So I don't know. I don't have that frame of reference. It's just you tether onto it and then you swing. And there's some physics to it. Because depending on the position of the tether and how far away from it you are, it will fling you farther or shorter, or when you let go, it will kind of send you flying. And you can then, it's tough to like move the bug in front of you after a good swing because the bug moves kind of slowly. So you can't just like whip across the level like the original Bionic Commando. You can't just do that. Let's just talk about tether swingy games. But that's kind of more what it felt. I guess that's my touchstone. It's fine, but it is a pretty dark environment. Like the whole game, is taking place at night. Like things that are hazardous generally stand out as being outlined in pink. There are these creepy, shadowy guys who just have like. Eyes that open up when you get closer to them, and then they start trying to move after you. But it looks cool. Maybe things were a little too dark, but that might have been an on my TV thing. I realized towards the end, maybe I should have bumped up the brightness a little bit just to see my way through some darker areas.
Does the game have a brightness setting and options?
There was not much in the options. I think it was like just volume control from what I recall.
Games like this should have brightness options.
Yeah.
And jump buttons.
Jump buttons.
You don't need to jump.
You have a tether button, Pernell.
You tether to the... Yeah, it's
tether and swing. You don't need to jump.
You don't need to jump. Open your mind. There, as you go... So there's checkpoints scattered around. They're like little assemblages of candles. And there are collectibles to find. So... Yeah, every collectible you find has some kind of like memory for the little girl, and she puts it into her lunchbox. And you can only put 6 items into your lunchbox. And after you have 6 items in your lunchbox, you have to pick one to sacrifice to this undead cat, which is a weird thing that's going on. Is that
I could totally see a cat after death still begging for stuff.
Yeah, there's some weird spooky cat that you sacrifice items to, and there is a good amount of items scattered around. I don't think I even found half of them on my initial playthrough, but they each have like a little bit of game lore attached to it and backstory. The overall game, it looks nice. It plays well. I only really ran into trouble on like the very last sequence of the game, and because there is a bit of a time pressure put on you to move quickly through this area. And also annoyingly, like right after the checkpoint, you are literally holding right for 20 seconds before you need to do anything else, which is kind of tedious. But that's just literally the last sequence of the game. And it's not that long at the end of the day, once you kind of figure it out. The game itself my playthrough was like an hour and 15 minutes long, which is good for me, who likes games that I can get through and don't drag on forever, but bad for people that might be a little more price sensitive for something that's $13.
Well, the good news is right now it's on sale on the Switch for $7.79. Not sure how long that price will stick, but
that seems like a totally great and fair price for it right there. But yeah, I mean, it is short, which I don't consider to be bad necessarily, because again, I don't like games that are unnecessarily fluffed out, but also that, by being that short, it's something that lends itself to speed running or repeated play of just like, okay, I'm going to sit down and like make a run through this game and see how I do, or just run through, see if I can find some other collectibles. So it's pretty solid for that. And the mechanics of it are fun, even though it isn't jumping. It is something different than that. And it does feel pretty good to do.
Well, the price is $13. What do you say?
Well, I say that the game is worth your time, and then people can make their price to time calculations on their own, but it's certainly worth checking out.
I mean, movies these days are like $15 anyway, right?
They are, yeah. Things are expensive, so
13 for this, and you said it's good and replayable, right?
Yeah. Could be. It's sure enough. You could replay it, but boy, that Switch sale price is great.
There you go. Pick it up on the Switch right now for $8 while it's on sale. Don't know how long that sale is going to last. I wish the Switch page would say like until December, whatever.
Be like a launch sale, which might be like a week or something like that.
Yeah.
If it just came out, that's usually how it goes.
Well, check the store. If it's $8, buy it.
Or maybe it's one of those games that's just perpetually on sale.
Go ahead, Chris. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just going to say, we all wish a lot of things about the Nintendo sale page and storefront. And
yeah, like I love how I scrolled the entire thing and twice. All that they let you see, and I did not know about the Darius sale until you guys brought it up on this episode. So I don't even know how people find any sales on that fucking thing. Unless
I just try to look what comes out and put it on my wish list if I want it, and things still slip through the cracks constantly.
I also do the thing where when it gets to over like 1,000 items on sale, I filter, and then I just look at each price point individually, each price range. Because then it breaks it down into 4, and they're in one row instead of like the 3 at a time, and you have to wait for it to load, and then it might reset itself. Like it actually puts them in a list, and you can scroll down and look at like 8 at a time or something.
Oh.
That's how I do it.
Nice.
Switch it up.
All right, well, moving on. Next game to talk about is Undungeon, developed by Laughing Machines, published by tinyBuild, released November 18th on Xbox One and PC for $19.99 each. Separate achievement stacks, separate game releases. Undungeon is an action role-playing experience that brings back the spirit of old-school action RPGs, wrapped in modern design, restore the order in all dimensions, influence, and determine the fate of the worlds, create and decide what will happen in the new multiverse. Pernell, tell us about your time with Undungeon.
I gotta tell you straight up, before I go into any of this, I have no idea what the fuck's going on in this game. None. not a clue.
Me neither. It is so vague and so weird.
And very wordy, despite being like ununderstandable. I just don't get it. You're talking to golden eyeballs, and only thing I get is that you are a being crafted by higher beings known as the Void, and your job is to take what I believe to be whatever. I'm not sure if it's even Earth or just like a general planet, but it's been like pretty much shattered and split into multiple dimensions. And your job as the Herald is to find the other heralds and get their energy, which will allow you to reconnect all those scattered dimensions. If I'm wrong, tinyBuild, well, there you go. But hey, understanding a narrative is subjective. People can do what they want there.
Well, here's what the store page says. Several multidimensional versions of Earth were suddenly merged together, shattering one another in a cataclysmic event known as the Great Shift. So that's what's going on. I was
both right and wrong about that. Like multiple Earths were separated. No, Earth was shattered. It was destroyed and scattered into multiple dimensions. No, all the different Earths were brought together, which in turn destroyed them.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's a weird one.
It's a very weird one. But what I can go into a bit is how the gameplay itself functions. If you're the type of person who likes loot and mix and matching builds for a character, well, you might be in hog heaven with this game, because it is very much a loot exploration game. But you don't just put on the equipment for your actual character, like as far as like their weapons and armor and the like. You also have to, invest in their internal organs and also their heart, which is basically the core of the being. As you're running around the various dimensions, you will be able to journey across the map, fulfilling various quest requests and obligations. There's a day and night cycle that takes place on this thing too. I'll talk about the equipment thing in a second. There's like a day and night cycle that takes place, which isn't always an issue, but sometimes you'll get requests or like missions that are time sensitive. Like you might have to get it done within 3 days, 3-day cycles, which can be a problem on some occasions, because early on in the game, you might just like, oh yeah, I'll just walk from here to there. It should take me no more than like 3 days. Whoop-de-freaking do. And I get 10 days. But you might find yourself in a situation later on where you get ambushed on the road. Now you got to fight guys. Think like how Fallout 2 used to do it. So now you have to fight enemies, which will delay your, arrival. Or you might take damage, which now means you need to get your way back to the hub world, which is another trip, which will add more time to your trek. So times like that are when the day and night cycle will become an issue. But essentially, you'll be trekking across different areas, talking to really weird-ass NPCs and helping them out. And in addition to helping them out, you will also be acquiring a sort of karma for helping them, or losing karma for being a douchebag. Like an early quest I had was a quest to retrieve fertilizer for a guy. Now this is where it gets a little funny. This game is very wordy, and I didn't really I was kind of zoning out on reading some of this stuff as far as like the flavor text between the scenarios. I just knew get fertilizer for guy. Quest marker says go here and get it. But somewhere amongst the sea of text, what I did not glean was that the fertilizer was contaminated or something, which means it's not safe to use. So when I got back to the guy, he was like, hey, did you find the fertilizer? I'm like, here you go. And the game actually gives you an option to say, tell him it's not safe. And I'm just like, give me my quest reward. Here's your fertilizer. And the game was like, you lost karma. I'm like, damn it, I should have paid attention. But at the end of the day, some people love wordiness in their games. In that case, you're going to be, again, in heaven with this. So aside from all that stuff, to go back to the actual loot and stuff like that, there are a variety of equipment types in this game, starting from the top down. You have like your weapon, which is generally like a 3-combo strike attack, and every weapon generally has a number of like perks and a charge attack where you might do like a seismic wave or something like that. And unfortunately, all weapons except for special weapons can break, and if you break it, it's gone. If you are able to prevent yourself from breaking it, you can get it repaired later by using like a workbench at the main hub world. There's armor, which has also perks and things of that nature. Different types of reflection attacks, because that's the button trigger for armors. Like you can reflect bullets back, and there's also perks there. There's mass, which affects your dash ability. So you might have a one that just says like, hey, medium or long dash if you press the button, where some might say it's a short dash, but if you pull it off, you also get a speed boost for a couple seconds. So even that, there's a lot of variety in like choosing your mask. Then you go one level lower. You have internal organs like your heart and your eyeballs and your brain and all sorts of crap there. And that all comes with freaking perks. Sometimes it's like social perks. Sometimes, like, for example, you might get a organ that allows you to do, pretty much better with, like, protecting your allies, or like you might get discounts at shops because apparently having the right internal organ gets you discounts at shops. It's actually based off a social organ. That's all I can guess by that. So, and then there's also your core. The core is pretty much the equivalent of, like, I feel like really your actual heart in the game. Even though there's a heart item, the core to me is like your actual heart, because with that you can also put on like runes. You can equip runes to your core, and the runes involve like attack boosts, health boosts, defense boosts, and things of that nature. Like you're customizing all over the damn place. Now, don't make yourself think that because you can customize yourself to high holy health, this game is easy, because it is not. This game is designed to be mean as shit. Give you an example. Enemies that you fight. So, I mentioned earlier that you have the ability to reflect bullets, so that'll be helpful if you are kind of caught up in a skirmish. You're really good at timing your shots, and you can read what all the pandemonium is that's going on the screen. But if the enemy hits you, they get a star above their head, which is essentially saying they leveled up for hitting you. So now they're stronger. The more they hit you, the stronger they get. So you're basically getting your ass beat, which allows you to get your ass beat even more. As your health gets lower, the screen starts to degrade. So there might come like red on the outer borders, like think like bloody screen, or it might start to shatter. So it becomes harder to see what the hell's going on as you start to lose health. And when you run out of health, before you officially die, you start losing internal organs. They start breaking. And in order to get those back, you got to tend to the wound and then replace the organ.
Wow.
Fuck. Don't die. That's the gist of it. This game. Just don't fail, because failure hurts a lot. But
heard that.
Yeah, and how, right? But like, I'm saying all that up front because people need to sometimes know that, like, some people love their challenge in their games. I'm that guy. But also there are times where you're like, when the punishment is hefty, it really hurts to the point where sometimes you might not even want to come back to the game, because if you fail, the game kicks you back to your last save point or your last checkpoint, and you lose a good chunk of your stuff. Like, so it's not for the squeamish to play in this game. So to me, that plus like the crazy amounts of dialogue about, psychobabble space jargon, are rough knocks for it. But I say that they're rough knocks in the sense, not that I hate them, though the space jargon drove me nuts, but more so just to note that those things are definitely not for everybody, and they're worth pointing out. Combat-wise, I actually am kind of okay with it. Like, I like the idea of like running up on guys and smashing them around with my claw weapons and using my charge attacks and trying to reflect and make sense of stuff. Especially if you got some companions, because companions can help do damage for you too. Though the one thing that the game doesn't do a good job of explaining is that they do explain that if a companion dies, they stay dead. But what they fail to explain is that you can heal companions by throwing specific items at them. Like, there's special throwable items that do heal. Not to be confused with the healing items that you yourself can use to heal. Which reminds me, I forgot to mention that too. So, there are healing items you can get in the game to heal yourself. Now, normally in games, you press the button and you use the item. Boom, you're healed. And there are some items in this game that do still do that. However, there are quite a few, the majority of them that you get, where the way you use them is you actually have to press the item button to lay it out in the field, and then you have to break it. But if the enemy breaks it first, they get the bonus of being healed. So they basically steal your shit because, yeah, of course they would, assholes. So
you gotta make sure that you're not just dropping items in the middle of skirmishes. You want to
exactly, because if you're in a bullet storm, drop a healing item in a bullet storm, it might get broken before you can break it. So it's definitely something to be noticing. This game is definitely different in that regard. Like, there's a number of like weird differences in gameplay constants that come through on this game. So It's not going to be the kind of game where it's going to be struck like, oh yeah, everybody should play this freaking game. It's just so freaking good. But what I will say is that if psychospace jargon is something you either love or don't care about, and challenge is fanciful for you, then the game itself can be pretty cool. You'll be swimming through inventory for days trying to get the perfect build for your little void creature. And you'll be going to different dimensions. And the art style and the music in this game are both very nice. You're going to be seeing some beautiful things, leveling up cores to get the right builds for that too. There's a lot going on here. It's just those few caveats that you have to be well aware of before coming in, because if you're not, you'll be disappointed.
Well, there's one other thing to be aware of, which could sell this on a lot of people.
Ooh.
It's on Game Pass.
Dun, dun, dun. Just give it a try then.
There you go. It's on Game Pass for console and PC. So
that's right. You said you played a little bit of it on Game Pass too. Did you like it? What did you think of any of it?
It hasn't really sucked me in the way I was hoping it would. I'm still early in the game. It's different. It is very verbose. Like they talk so much in this game, and I found myself a couple of times just mashing the A button to get through some of those conversations.
Yes, 100% that. And then, heaven forbid, you are trying to keep up with the conversation. Sometimes they'll have conversations on the left corner of the screen while things are going on. So now you're trying to read that shit too. And I do think that there is like a conversation log that you can bring up, but that's a pain in the ass to bring up as well. Like, there's just a lot going on. You will be busy.
No. Well, it's $20 on Xbox. It is $20 on PC. Again, they are separate purchases and separate achievement stacks. What are your thoughts on this?
If you got Game Pass, it's a no-brainer to give it a try, because I think it's definitely worth a try for free. Like, because this could really sing to the right people, even if they don't like the things that I mentioned as being rough. But other than that, if you are a type that likes the Diablo-style loot grabbing bit and character building, then this is a buy it in that regard anyway. But try it if you're not sold on the concern for, psychobabble space jargon.
Makes sense. All right. Next game, we're going with some more space stuff. It's Space Elite Force 2-in-1, developed by Moraes Game Studios, published by QUByte Interactive, released November 25th on Xbox One and PS4 for $7.99. Space Elite Force 2-in-1 brings two games from the series that are inspired by the classic arcade games. They are both fast, addictive, and with a lot of good elements from classics shoot 'em up. Tim, tell us about Space Elite Force 2-in-1.
It's two games in one.
What?
What?
Tell me more.
No, I refuse. That's all you get to know. What do you think?
Oh, $7.99. What's your...
Hey, two games in one. It's $7.99. How can you go wrong? Dunks.
What is the game?
Well, it is a classic arcadey scrolling shmup game. Two games, actually. So yeah, they were released individually on some other platforms that we will not mention on this podcast. But yeah, it's basic horizontal shoot what scrolling shooters. It's these are not like huge budget shooter games, but that's fine. I think they do a good job with whatever resources they have at hand. I got the impression this game came out of Brazil and made it out onto these storefronts, which is pretty cool. But like in both games, I think, I played a lot of cheap shmups in my day that definitely came off as cheap shmups. So it's like every stage in these games is pretty much just like a one image background, but they have a like scrolling star effect to them that makes it seem like you are still in motion, and I don't know, distracts you from the fact that it really kind of it tricks you out of like realizing that it really is kind of just one thing in the background. And it just backgrounds just look nice. They have a nice depth to them. They move well for the simplicity they have. Enemies, their flight pattern. I think there's a good variety to the enemies in the way that they fly in, the way that they look, the way that they attack. They have, it's a little bullet hecky, if you will. There can get to be a lot of shit on the screen, but heck. I think the patterns are generally very fair. I mean, like playing through the first game, I died once. I mean, that was on normal difficulty, but still, I died once. And the only thing that was like tripping me up, and this is only in the first game. In the second game, they actually changed it up. Is so what you're doing in these levels as you shoot down enemies, they are dropping like little gems for you to pick up. And the gems, there's also a power up that you can pick up, which magnetizes the gems to your ship. And when you have that power up in the first game, and like this cloud of gems comes at you out of the enemies, it like triggers my, oh my God, bullets, like instinct. But in the second game, they changed the color of them, so that is less of a thing. And that it actually didn't bother me at all playing the second game. Improvements along the way.
Yay!
So yeah, as you collect those aforementioned gems, those are your currency. In the first game, there's straight currency, and just like it is a 1-to-1, like they are your money. So when you finish a stage, and this is true for both games, you go into a garage, and then you can spend your currency to upgrade your ship. You're upgrading your main attack. You're upgrading your sub attack, which is like some kind of a missile or bomb. You're purchasing more health for your ship, because this is not an instance where one hit kills your ship, which makes the game more playable right off the bat anyways. And you can buy other like armor, basically damage reductions from enemy shots. You can actually make there's one power up that makes enemy shots move slower, which is great. And the second game has a larger tree of weapons and upgrades to choose from, though the second game trades in the kind of straight 1-to-1 currency for your like building up an energy bar. And when you get enough points, then you get one currency to spend. And then the whole store is scaled in that fashion, which was a little bit less fun to spend things, because I felt like you were upgrading things slower, but there's also more stages in that game, and kind of towards the end, you're able to buy a bunch of shit anyways. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of both games. Most of your upgrades are done in between levels with the currency, and that stuff carries over when you die. There are in-level power-ups, but they take the form more of like another little satellite ship will come in to help defend your ship, or your bullets will fire faster, so you're just putting more crap on the screen at once. There's one that doubles the like every currency you pick up is double, basically. And the bottom line is it's just fun. It feels good. It feels fair. It's not boring or tedious. The first game is only like 7 or 8 levels long, so that was less than an hour. Like the second game is 15 levels long, so that was a bit longer to get through. And that's just playing like base normal difficulty straight through to the other end. There is also more difficulties. Both games also have an endless mode. Basically, it's called different things in each game. One, I think it's called arcade. I think the other, it is called endless, where it just keeps generating different levels and enemy patterns, and not completely different bosses, but you don't know what boss is going to be at the end of the level, and you kind of chase a high score there. And the second game also has a boss rush to it. Music is unremarkable in the first game, but there's some good tracks with maybe like a bit too short loops in the second game. But overall, for $8, it's two like pretty solid shooter games. So it seems pretty worth it to me.
Yeah, sounds like you can't go wrong with this one.
Yeah, and just kind of like the individual releases are like we're on super sale on their respective stores, so this might be a game you could get for even cheaper. But I think $8 is totally fair. Like for this game, it's a lot of fun.
Cool. So your official verdict?
Buy it. Buy this games. Yes.
Buy this classics. Shoot 'em up.
Buy this games. The only thing that kind of is like lame about it is they cribbed Star Wars for like their intro lore thing with like Star Wars knockoff music and extremely slow text crawl. And I'm just like, guys, this is so so worn territory, but you can push a button and skip it.
Good stuff. All right. Well, that is it for you, Tim.
It is. I'm going night.
Night.
We will
Night,
let
night.
you get going. Do you have any final words? Just yawning? Is those your final words tonight?
That's about right.
Just
His final words are death to the jump button.
eventually you'll just hear, yeah, can you jump in Undeaded or with that game?
Undeaded.
Undungeon.
Undeaded. I want that game.
No.
Death to jumping.
Yay. All right, we got to move on. Next game to talk about is called Tears of Avia, developed by CooCooSqueaky Games, published by PQube, released October 14th on the Switch, November 18th on the PS4 for $14.99. Estera, a once proud and thriving world, is torn apart by war between two large city-states. Tirg, the largest military in the land who praise the gods, and the city-state Helmgar, the godless heretics to the north. Build your party and venture forth to discover the secrets behind ancient, long-abandoned cities and decide whether your mortality ultimately lies in this turn-based action strategy game. Sounds like the godless heretics to the north sound pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I like me a good godless heretic.
Yeah, so how's Tears of Avia?
All right, Tears of Avia. So this is a turn-based strategy RPG. Those of y'all who, like to play chess with anime characters will know what I'm talking about. So, but this one is okay. So one of my favorite strategy RPGs of all times is Final Fantasy Tactics Advance on the Game Boy Advance, right?
Good game.
I played the hell out of that thing. And you in that one, you got all these units and you would give them jobs and you would spend all this time equipping them with equipment so that they could learn those moves through ability points and stuff like that while they're simultaneously just crafting this storybook world that, has these high points of drama and all that stuff. Okay, so on the other end, we've got Tears of Avia, which has you pick out one of 5 characters to be your main character, right? Already, I like it. I'm a fan of RPGs that kind of just lets you pick your protagonist from a stack. And I picked the archer, who is kind of like the default, but also I just liked her the most. And but you've got an archer, a knight, a kind of fighter that's kind of like a knight, but he's only got armor on one arm while also just walking around with no shirt on, which is a hilarious trope to me. The heavily armored single limb of a fighter. Anyways, and then of course the mage and the healer and I think actually that's it. Oh wait, did I say the knight? The knight. There's a knight. He's kind of generic. Anyways, so you pick one of these characters. And, it's the exact same story no matter who you pick. You're just picking your protagonist, right? So you help out this other kid and in a town fighting off some undeads. And then you go through basically a couple of tutorial battles. Literally the first battle is against one zombie that goes down in one hit, which is, pretty great. And
good way to ease you in.
Yeah, you kind of wonder what the fuss is about. And after that, you're you talk to the kid, the storyline goes by and it's 3 weeks later and you talk to the kid and he's like, hey, some friends of mine are here from this other place and stuff. I'm going to go hang out with them in the tavern. Come by and say hi. And you say, or whatever. And you go talk to him and he's like, we got to go on. And, you found this jewel, which you need to, which is tied to your quest. It's a Tear of Avia, you see, and you have to find, you learn from a shouting librarian, which is, I guess they're making a joke there, that the Tears of Avia are these jewels that if they're all collected in the same place, they can open up a portal to hell or something and the king of the demons will come out. That's bad news. So you got to try and get these things. So you got your quest. Boom, right there, 20 minutes in. Not even 20 minutes in, 5 minutes in. And then you go to the tavern. And you're like, okay, so I'm going to meet up with this kid and get this other party member. And it's I'm going to build a party over time. You talk to the kid and he's like, okay, great. Let's go on this quest and go get these Tears of Avia. And then literally all the other characters from the character selection screen are I couldn't help it over here that you're going on an adventure. Well, we are too. And then you have all of the characters from that beginning page. 10 minutes into the game, and you're like, hell yeah. You know, and you go and fight these battles. Again, it's chess with anime characters. Everybody's done it. You know, archers, they can shoot far. Magicians, they can pick stuff. You know, everybody has a life bar, but everything from healing to magic to arrows is done with a you know, the more powerful it is, the more turns it takes to cool it down. But you can select another move that takes less energy, you know. But it's not like you have limited 8 MP or whatever. Pretty cut and dry, pretty simple. And yeah, so you get all these characters out there, and you just, you know, select stages off of a map that looks like Google Earth. Like, it looks like Google Earth that somebody painted over. Like they painted like blue over like a picture of a mountain, and that's like the river. Like you can actually see brush strokes. Like, I'm not just making fun of the graphics. Like, that's literally the art style they went with. But yeah, you just go through these battles, and it's like Swamps 1, Swamps 2. And, you know, if you beat Swamps 2, then Swamps 3. Nice. You know, and every time it just brings you back to the hub town where they pile on all these like awesome weapons. Like, the weapons I got from just the tutorial battles, I was like, oh hell, this is like an end game weapon practically. This is so much stronger than what I have. Is this right? And then I just kept getting them, and I'm like, I guess this is just how the game goes. Like, it's a fun strategy game, but it wastes no time. It's like, you're getting to the end of this thing, buddy. Like, we're not going to make you struggle or anything unless you pick hardcore mode, because there's 2 difficulty settings. It's
good to see a strategy RPG that you could just power through and not struggle with.
Yeah, and again, like, even the storyline, they're like, okay, you got to go get these things, all right? You ready? Okay, here's your team members. Get going. Go, 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 go. They got 2 months until the sequel comes out, so let's get it moving. So yeah, I actually really appreciate that about this game. This is very much a game that is minimal on the trappings of an RPG and like the scaling difficulty and stuff. But again, you can put it on hardcore mode and really give yourself a challenge, you know. And it's not like things can't kill you or anything. It's just the game, like, I guess it's a little bit like maybe the modern Diablo game. It's just like they keep you hooked by dumping all these treasures on you and then making you purchase scrolls of insight so that you can identify them and be like, it's like a lottery or something. Like, oh man, look at this sword I got. I just paid money to have it identified, and it's twice as good as anything in the shop. I'm getting back out there. I want to get another one. And, you know, like, there's a little bit of, they didn't really pay attention to certain things. Like, so your characters have not skill trees, but you get to choose your skills from, like, well, I guess it is skill trees. But it's like, it's a skill branch, because you have, like, basically there's 3 skills on the bottom tier, and when you unlock all of them, then you get the next tier, and then the next tier, and the next tier. So you can't go in a direction. You just kind of pile up, and it's in 3 branches, and they're pretty predictably in offense, defense, and status. Either status increases for you or status decreases for the enemy. It's really cut and dry. It's very much like, okay, here it is. Just pick some and get it over with. You know, here's 6 levels at the end of this fight because we decided to pile on experience. Now you can unlock a whole half of your skill tree. But the kid that you talk to at the very beginning of the game has the exact same skill set as the knight. So it's like you're inevitably going to leave one of them behind, because you only have 5 people in your party, but you end up with 6 at the beginning of the game. So you're always going to leave at least one person, you know, back. So it's, you know, it's like, it's one of those things where it's a game that kind of pushes you through playing it, but it's kind of like, you know, there's certain things that got overlooked, but honestly, no matter what happened where I was like, that's not my favorite, I keep reminding myself this game is like super cheap, so I'm honestly having more fun than I should.
Yeah, it's surprisingly, for a strategy RPG, it's only $15. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna say, yeah, if you're a strategy RPG fan, go ahead and buy it now. However, there is one thing about this. It's available on Steam. It runs better on a good PC than on the Switch. The Switch has frame rate issues in the hub town when you're running around and stuff, and that can be annoying. I watched videos of like computer gameplay, and it seemed to not have that problem. So
I imagine PS4 and Xbox would handle it pretty well.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. The Switch version seems to have some frame lag. Now, I got used to it, and it doesn't really bother me. It's the same thing with Fairy Fencer F Advent Dark Force. It's like it has frame rate issues. It kind of chugs compared to the PS4 version, even when you turn like shadows off, which you have to do. But it's like I still played that game for 120 hours, so. Don't let that stop you, but do know that the Switch might not be your first choice if performance is your preference. But either way, yeah, I'm going to give this a buy it.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Next game is Lornsword Winter Chronicle, developed by Tower 5, published by Tower 5 and Microids, released November 24th on Xbox Series X and S and PS5 for $19.99. Lornsword Winter Chronicle is a story-driven action strategy game. Be the general on the battlefield and take direct action to command your soldiers and set up your economy. The Lorn Empire counts on you. Keep your mind pure and your Lornsword sharp. Pernell, tell us about your time with Lornsword Winter Chronicle.
Keep your lorns girded.
I feel like more things need to incorporate the concept of girding your loins. I miss the use of girded loins. Anyway, thanks, Chris. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Masterful insert. Loinsword. Now, no, not Loinsword. Lornsword is actually a pretty interesting little game in that it's not a, choosing a location on a map or trying to traverse any sort of intricate plot or searching for side quests. This game goes on a level by level basis, and each level is a new challenge. Initially, though, they kind of set you on a nice, honestly, well-seasoned tutorial phase of sorts before kind of opening the door to like, good luck, chump. Which I can respect. But what is this game that I'm describing, or rather the gameplay I'm describing? Okay, so you play as a war general, or originally you're just a blockade guard for your empire. But through a series of events, you pretty much become a general. Go from captain, from flunky to captain, and from captain to general. And as such, you have to lead an entire army, fulfilling the needs and whims of the nobles and empires or other that takes place throughout the game. So the way gameplay works is that you are dropped on top of a map, and you'll have to fulfill a series of different types of obligations on these maps. Some are timed, some are not timed, and more so objective based. But otherwise, you'll be fulfilling objectives. And the way that you do this in gameplay form is that you control your main general. You can move around the map. You have a health bar and a stamina bar. So the stamina bar is primarily drained when you attack, when you dash, and also when you do one other action, which I'll bring up in a second. In addition to just exploring the map, you have the ability to lay down structures. These structures are purchased with money and reinforced with food, essentially, to allow you to perform functions such as building a guard tower or building other facilities that can allow you to hire different types of characters, such as mercenaries or archer-type scouts or priests that can float and use electrical attacks. And then lastly, there's also, I guess, like shrines, you could call them. They are shrines that you can place on the ground, and when you run over time, they generate orbs that can generate mana, which will heal you and also regain your stamina. But lastly, what those shrines can do for you is they allow you to summon various elementals. So when you place down the shrine, you might say, I want to build a shrine to the fire gods. So the fire shrine allows you to buy fire archers and summon them onto the field. It takes a ton of stamina. There's the fourth thing I was telling you about. It takes a ton of stamina to use it, but it allows you to summon characters on the field immediately to back you up in a tight spot. Because aside from doing that, the only other way to get characters on board is by taking them from the facilities you build and leading them to combat. If you build the facility along, I guess, a route, which is indicated by like flaming like totems or whatever, then the characters will leave the facility once they've been recruited, and they'll just march into battle following that way line. But if you don't do that, you can just run up on them and say, yo, dude. He's like, yeah, like, come with me. He's like, all right. And you just kind of take them along to the battle, let them go, and they start beating the shit out of other enemies until they die. And they will die a lot. And if this game does not hammer home the grimness of war and the concept of them saying that mercenaries can be bought, you cannot. So you're not meant to fight. You're meant to lead people to their death and run away. That is really what they pretty much command. They lay out in the game for you. You are meant to produce facilities that generate units, send them to their deaths, but hopefully deaths that will slightly mean a bit closer to getting you to victory. And then do it, wash, rinse, repeat. So you'll be doing these sorts of things. And in addition to just fighting those locations off, you'll also be acquiring mines, which will allow you to generate money, and farms, which allow you to generate food, which allows you to place more buildings. You can, of course, upgrade your facilities with more, upgradables, such as, like different unit production types, or you might want to give a gold mine a turret so it can be more defensive if enemies decide they want to raid it when you're not available to protect it. And do things like that. There is a lot of surprising strategy that goes into this game, because it's fairly freeform in how you decide to proceed through a level once the tutorials are done. And even within the tutorial sometimes. I died twice on one of the tutorial stages. Embarrassing, I know, shut up.
Hey, I don't judge. I've been there.
It's rough, right? You'll be like, how? This is the tutorial. I'm supposed to be a god here. No, you're not. You're supposed to win. But yeah, I got rocked a few times, but then I picked up on what they wanted. I understood it better, and I was able to take the level up for as it was. Because one thing that I will tell you is that even though I genuinely feel that the tutorial is pretty decent, there are still a few things that may slip through the cracks because they don't give you the ability to, like, say, bring up a history of things you learned. Because a lot of games will do that. They'll say, if you got a question, go back to the tutorial screen and look up what we taught you. This game doesn't have that. So I didn't remember that there's a flag that sits outside of a building that determines whether the characters wait until they have a full regimen of units and then they'll rush out, or if they'll rush out one at a time, or if they just don't go anywhere at all. I had no idea which flag meant what. And quite frankly, it was not easy to be like, okay, I'll just stand in one place and just click the flag and watch and see what the units do, whatever. So things like that. It would have been nice if there was like a referral I could go back to on old tutorial teachings just to get my feet wet and refreshed. So that sucked. But oh no, I think the game is pretty good. And there's also, totally forgot about the equipment you can find. You can find actual rooms on the board that you can place on the shrines to power them up, and then equip one at a time to get special effects on your combat. So that gives you opportunities to like kind of strategize even more. Like maybe you want to use an item that will allow this type of unit to deal more damage, or this type of thing that gets your stamina to build up a little bit faster. Good to have it when you need it. But I digress. I'm rambling. This is a kind of review where I feel as though I could talk a bit more about the game. But at the end of the day, I do feel like the narrative is easier to follow in the last game I mentioned. Like, I actually could follow what the heck was going on. And I actually kind of like the narrative, too. The gameplay is fun, albeit there will be some learning trial and error scenarios, like do a level, fail, come back, maybe you'll do it better this time. And that's fine with me. Because other than that, because with all that in mind, the gameplay is good. All those things are good. And I think this is a solid product and worth your time and money if you're into RTS type games.
Cool. Then $20, your official verdict?
My verdict is to buy it. Just don't feel bad if the tutorial kicks your ass a few times. It's okay. I'll pat you on the back.
All right. I guess I'll wish list though this one. I was on the fence with it, but you're singing its praises, so I might have to give it a go.
Lornsword. I will say one last thing I should mention. I totally forgot about this.
No,
it doesn't really make the. I am. It doesn't make the game bad. It's just something you should know, which is that the way the game does the upgrades for the different buildings is it depends on where you stand on the platform, and sometimes until you get used to it, it's hard to tell which space you have to stand in to upgrade which thing. Like, it does give you a text box that says what it does, but when you're in the thick of it. And you're like, okay, I got to hurry up and get back to battle, but I do have enough money to upgrade this facility. What do I want to upgrade? I don't fucking know. Just find the spot on the thing and hope that's the one I wanted. That could just be my TV too. Maybe it stands up more bigger TVs, but I should have bought that 75-incher.
Yeah,
but anyway, I should have bought it.
Still time.
But anyway, run the target after the episode or during, like
when you went to Best Buy.
Like,
That was a fun episode.
Yes, it was. What's Pernell doing? Is he talking to our clerk? But yeah, it's hard
Brooke,
to see.
you weren't here for that one.
I was not.
Basically, it was an episode we were hanging out talking about stuff. And I can't remember why Dragon Quest Builders came up, but Joe was like, it's on sale at Best Buy right now for like $20. I was like, it is? He's like, yeah. I was like, shit, they close soon. And they might sell out. I'm going to go get it. So we're recording.
Awesome.
I get in the car all myself. I'm driving. You get, Pernell, where are you going? Like, is that noise? I say, that's my car. I'm driving. And I'm at the Best Buy during my review, like playing a demo machine. Like, oh, so this is how I feel about this game. Oh, 1 second. Hey, could you get this game off the shelf for me? I want to buy it.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of
my
fun.
favorite part was when you were talking and then all of a sudden you sounded like this because you dropped off of the Wi-Fi. And then when you got back to Best Buy, you went back to the Wi-Fi and you sounded like this again, and then you got back in your car and you sounded like this again. Then you got home and you opened the game and it was good.
That was the important part. Was I got that game before they sold out.
Indeed.
Was this the first or the second one?
Oh, the second one.
Oh, okay. You ever play the first one?
I did. It's a freaking gem.
We need to talk about that game sometime. I cried and cried and cried like a third of the way in. And I really need somebody to talk to about it, so hit me up later.
Okay, sounds good to me.
That game scarred me.
So good.
There's a lot of tears on this episode.
Super good. Yeah, well, I'm a crier. You can ask Chris. That's kind of my MO.
Sure beats being a friar.
The hype man that cries a lot.
That's me, baby.
Gotta buy this game. You're gonna stop.
Anyway, moving on, we got a preview of a game to talk about called Tape Recovery Simulator 96K, developed and published by CaffeineWithdrawalGames. It's releasing Q1 2022 on Steam. Tape Recovery Sim 96K is a game about recovering data off of reluctant old tapes. Rediscover the lost art of loading data off tapes, fix errors, explore and reclaim hidden digital treasures, receive emails, fight a single undefeatable boss and his management nonsense, rewind and try again. Chris, what is this game, experience, project? What is it?
It's a thing.
It's a thing. What is this thing?
Okay, so this thing is where you are the newest employee of a 3-man operation. That is to say, it's you, your coworker, and your boss, the undefeatable boss. You know the type. And your job is to basically recover data from old tapes, like the old Commodore and Armstrong, when they had data on physical like cassette tapes. It was before my time, so I have no idea. I actually don't think that's even real. But but the whole thing is like it's weird because there's no it doesn't take you to a game when you open it up. It opens a bunch of screens. And these are your tools. So it's like a bunch of apps. And, so one is like your tape player, and you can, eject a tape, select another tape from another pop-up, put in the tape. And then, through email correspondence, which, by the way, now that I work from home, I'm like on a work Slack all the time. So this was really familiar to me, except that it looks like, okay, so this is going to make everybody feel old. But like when I used to have Juno email client, before internet, was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
My back hurts thinking about that. Yeah,
that's what it looks like. It's like these plain text emails, and it's just got the inbox list at the top and stuff. That was the part that was most directly nostalgic. So you had all these emails, and it's like, and the first you actually have to go through 8 tutorial stages and then a tutorial boss. That is to say, what do you call it? What kind of test to show your abilities?
An aptitude test?
Yeah, thank you. Aptitude test. That's perfect. You have to do an aptitude test at the end, and according to the game, it doesn't actually go much further than that because this game is not finished. It's barely started.
Yeah, this is very early. It's going to be in early access when it releases. This is more preview than anything else.
Exactly.
Like very early preview. We have to stress that.
It's saying like 2 years before there's like going to be a predicted complete build. So. But each tutorial introduces a new machine, a new process, a new thing. So when you're playing the tape, you can actually use this kind of I want to call it a spectrometer because that sounds cool. I don't even think that's what it is, but it's an emulation window that basically shows like color bars and stuff like that, and you with the mouse turn knobs to adjust like the data and stuff so that you can get like what you need to play the tape and stuff. So, Vic 20, yeah, there you go. So yeah, you have to like do these little adjustments and stuff, and of course the tapes are sometimes damaged, sometimes the data is like sometimes there's stuff that's wrong, and again through the emails and your helpful coworker, despite your very unhelpful boss who literally like while you're working, quote unquote, like while you're doing things, you'll hear like on a timer just ding, ding. It's like new emails from your boss telling you to stop reading emails and get back to work. Like things like that. It's really funny. Like the satire part of this is actually really clever because you really start to hate your boss immediately, and it's great because it's just emails. But anyways. So yeah, your helpful coworker will tell you how to use the tools, and then you get to like adjust stuff, and you get to get in there and tinker with the electronics and stuff. It's over my head, but following the instructions, you're able to do it, and then it's pretty simple stuff. And the game stresses that it's going to start simple, and they're going to introduce more complicated stuff later, and then you just move on to like the next tape and stuff and everything. Now, of course. And they also say in the future there's going to be things like actually like mixtapes and stuff where you can actually have background music because for my gameplay experience it was a YouTube video that I was actually watching while playing the game because I was able to play the game over the video that I could still see because again it was apps and stuff, so it was like pulling up, it was like messing around with like Windows Media Audio or something like that. But anyways, yeah, another dated reference. So the only
Windows
problem
sound
is
recorder. I used to fuck with that all the time.
Oh hell yeah, yeah, me too, dude. I used to like record demos and stuff on it. I think I still have
my
some.
voice up, double the voice speed.
Yeah,
and you would talk like this, so when you sped it up, it sounded normal.
Yeah,
good shit.
Yeah. That's why we're here doing recording stuff now, like in this age. But anyways, so the only, there are some issues, of course, there's some bugs and some of them are intentional. Like sometimes the software fails for reasons that are actually on purpose, but some of it does seem like it's kind of like, I don't think this is actually working correctly. But the biggest thing for me is that I can't close the game and then open it again because after I, undo I turn off all the apps individually, and then there's a central one that when you click off of it, it's like, do you want to return to the main menu? And I'll say like yes or whatever and get rid of it. But then it's like when I click the game again, it's like you can't quit, it's already running, and I'm like, well, no, it's not. And then I go to the Steam page and it shows it's playing, so I hit stop, and then it doesn't stop. It basically doesn't allow me to access the game again until I restart my whole computer. So
just open up Task Manager and force close it.
I did that, and it didn't work.
Oh.
So
that's something they gotta fix.
Yeah, there's some stuff they gotta fix on this one, but I really like the concept, and I read an interview with the one person who made this game, and it's a really touching story about how he wanted his son to experience tapes because he really liked the idea of like the mechanical nature of like a tape player and like hearing the whirs and the spinning and all that other stuff and like physically handling the media. And like so he actually built this game because he was repairing tapes, and he was like, this is like a video game. And then he also was like, he likes to make games that don't exist, like something you've never played before. And that, when I was offered this one, I was like, yeah, that's ridiculous, and I totally want to play it because there's nothing else like that. So cool. I like it as a mission statement as well as the beginnings of a game.
Well, we don't have a release date or a price, but it's up on Steam for people to wish list. Should people do that?
Yeah, go ahead and do that and keep an eye on it because this could turn out to be a really interesting thing. Again, the game itself, I'm like, it's pretty cool, and again, it's interesting. I don't want to say unique because I already said it once earlier, but unique. But yeah, this is worth keeping your eye on, and at the very least, I want everybody to at least appreciate, like I said, the mission statement that this guy's making a a game about restoring like basically video game tapes. So that's pretty cool.
Cool. All right, well, moving on. Next game to talk about is Nightlights, developed by Meridian 4, published by Ratalaika Games, released November 26th on Xbox One, Series X and S, Switch, PS4, and PS5 for $4.99. The world is different at night. Take on the role of a tiny robot and embark on an adventure to illuminate a darkened planet. Pernell, tell us about your time with Nightlights.
Nightlights is actually, in my opinion, it's a bit of a relaxing puzzle platformer game where, like you say, you're a little robot man who's trying to restore the light to everywhere, I guess. And this is done by embarking on a quest to pretty much collect electricity and, I guess, just try to get to, I don't even know. Ultimately, he's progressing through this world. He's exploring the world, and as he's progressing, what he comes across are a few things. Little lightning bolt items. Lightning bolt items are used to increase his maximum voltage. So, think of it like MP, a low MP, a current MP and max MP. This can be used to activate various abilities that you will learn throughout the course of the game. The electricity or voltage regenerates over time on its own. So you don't have to find items to heal it. You just need to find items to increase it. Each electrical bolt item that you find increases your voltage by 1. And essentially, you'll just be looking for a bunch of those as you're progressing through the game. In addition to that, you will also be progressing by finding these little, they don't have a name. I just call them crystals. The crystals can be used to activate blocks that are essentially switches that can trigger various effects. Like it might make a platform go up, which will allow you to jump to another location. Or it might open up a door, which will allow you to turn a crank to move a source of light. And you'll be doing those things throughout your progression through the game, aside from also just finding abilities. Now, the puzzles in the game are primarily focused around the concept of light.
What? Pancakes!
Elements that can generate light, such as spotlights or light bulbs or TVs or whatever, number of things. And these objects, these illuminators, when they illuminate various areas or platforms or objects or walls, can make them appear, can make them disappear. Well, that's pretty much it. Makes them appear, disappear. So, for example, like an elevator that might ascend as the elevator is going up. As the elevator goes and makes contact with the light, the elevator disappears. And if you happen to be standing on that elevator, you will fall because now the elevator is gone. So you need to time it so that you can get around the light with your main character, or maybe turn the light off, or maybe move the light. So many of the puzzles revolve around stuff like that. Or you might say find a television that you can turn on and push. And if you push the TV into this wall, it's no longer a wall. Now you can go through the wall so long as the light from the TV is reflecting on the wall. So you'll be doing cool stuff like that. And it's very relaxing because, again, I never came across a puzzle in this game that felt too difficult or too complicated. It was just like kind of sort of relaxing, busy work, the best way to put it. And I can appreciate it. Yeah, and so I can appreciate that, honestly. Sometimes you don't want to have your brain melted. Because I can tell you, I love brain-melting games, but I also hate the fact that when I get stuck on something too long, I have to put the whole damn thing down because my brain, I just can't handle it. I get angry. This game, that won't be happening to you. High five! Yeah! across time zones.
Brooke, did you get to dabble with this one?
Nah.
No.
I had to prioritize the kids.
You were too busy crying over the kids we were.
Yeah, but I did download it, so I am going to be playing it as soon as Pernell's review ends. I'll be loading it up. I'm in now. I'm sold.
All right, I'm just casting the line.
Well, Pernell, it's $5. What do you think of it?
I'm not even going to give it a fucking one. I think it's a good game and it's worth a buy. The only critique I have that's negative, so prepare yourself, doubly so if you're in a band or anything like that, because you know about the musicals, and that is the music in this game. It just goes on and on and on. Like it's like this one really soothing, relaxing track, and it sounds nice. But then that's what you hear over, again. And it does kind of get like a little bit, it adds like a little bit of extra melody every once in a while, like you hit an event or something like that. But for the most part,
Coldplay, basically.
There you go. Nightlights, Coldplay edition.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's the only thing worth mentioning that's like kind of a detriment. Otherwise, it's fun. You'll enjoy it.
So tonight's music is going to be Coldplay.
Yes.
Perfect.
No, we got one more game to talk about tonight, and it's not as risky as most of the kinky stuff we talk about late in the show, but it's kind of close enough, so I'm going to play the new intro from Norg anyway. It is time for SML After Dark. Norg, take it away.
SML After Dark.
So yeah, Norg. Oh my god, that intro is so good. Oh my god, that intro is so fucking good.
Way back in here, because I would like to hear that intro at some point.
This game is not worthy of that intro. Those spoilers. You're gonna want to save that for Aki's reviews.
No, I already played it, so.
Oh yeah, she was
he made it explicitly for Aki's review on the next episode, but I figured Pretty Girl Rivers is kind of, it's pretty. So
yeah, there you go.
Let's do it.
It's fan servicey.
Yeah. So, final game to talk about tonight is called Pretty Girl Rivers, developed and published by Zoo Corporation, released December 2nd on Steam for $4.99. Compete with pretty girls in the puzzle game Rivers. Find and eliminate the paired tiles within the time limit. You can get various costumes of beautiful girls by clearing each stage. Aim, complete the costume. Chris, tell us about this one.
So, this one confused me at first because, it's called Rivers, but it also calls itself Mahjong, which I guess Rivers is but it's not Mahjong, like hot cosplay gimmick genre or something like that. I probably butchered that title.
Mahjong, is that just the same game? Because I get that recommended to me way too much.
Kind of, but this isn't actually conventional Mahjong. So I guess Rivers must be a variation on it, kind of like how Go Fish is a variation on poker or something.
This says a simple but profound puzzle game where you have to make pairs of Mahjong tiles. Yeah. If you can eliminate all the tiles within the time limit, you are in the clear.
Yeah. And here's the thing about this is that was one of those games on Windows 95 in a either it was on one of those 301 kind of game discs or something, or it was just built into the machine. I have no idea. But when I was a kid, I played the hell out of a tile matching game that used Mahjong pieces. So I basically am breezing through this one. Huh?
Shanghai?
I think that's what they called it. Yeah. But that one was 3-dimensional. So it's piles of, tiles. Yeah. I was that was tripping me up. But this one, they're all arranged. Okay, so the way it works, the way the game itself works is that, there's a pattern of tiles and, they pair off. And if you can select two without basically bending the river more than twice, so if they can connect by, going up, left, and then right, and then there's the pair, then that works. But it can't go around a corner or something like that, because that would require 3 turns. So, and a lot of them are going to be right next to each other, so you can just kind of click those and eliminate them immediately, and then kind of work your way out and try and pair them off, or try to pay attention to where certain pairs are so that you don't accidentally block yourself in, because that can happen. And this is all on a timer, and at stake is a pretty girl in a costume. And the idea is that you're supposed to play, I think it's 4 rounds of this game in order to change the girl's costume on the final stage. And, normally in these kind of games, the idea is that you're taking clothes off of a girl, right? Most of the ones that we've, the waifu games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with Pretty Girls Panic, it's the ladies are clearly kind of, the sexy anime, ladies, very, very, very curvy, very, very, that kind of uncomfortably so proportioned,
gotcha.
Ladies.
She has back problems.
She's got
just worried about her at this point.
We're just do you need help? But anyways, so you're trying to get them from one costume to another, but here's the thing that I love. It's actually the second stage did this to me. The girl started out in this kind of swimsuit that had, kind of an under boob sort of exposure. It was something that you wouldn't want your mom seeing, but it's not exactly explicit or anything. But it's then at the end of the stage, what I had worked up to over 4 stages of, like I said, timed tile matching, she ended up in a full-on kimono. Like, I dressed her up rather than down. It was so funny. I think I messaged Joe right after that and been like, Joe, this is not a strip game. This is the reverse. We're putting clothes on girls in this game.
Awesome.
But yeah, but that's what it is. It's just like it's taking these like these girls of a certain type, and they're pretty consistent. I hope there's not like the looks way too young kind of one in there. I haven't beaten it yet, so I don't know what other girls there might be in this. Pretty Girls Panic had one, and I was like, I don't know. And the game does warn at the beginning, and I kind of love that they have to do it, kind of, but they're like, all these girls are fictitious and are 18 years old.
Awesome.
I'm like,
So good.
somebody drew them and had to like say that. Anyway, whatever. That's the world we live in. So the tile matching game is fantastic because I love that kind of game. I love that game that I played a whole lot as a kid. Like I said, I basically have been breezing through it. But it does get challenging. Like basically, if you can't find those tiles, you have a bonus counter that goes down really fast, and you get your bonus points if you can match up tiles really quickly. But if that runs out, then your master timer starts going down. If your master timer goes all the way down, then you lose and have to start the puzzle over. I honestly, if you're even pretty decent at pattern recognition and just like I said, being able to find 2 tiles that look alike. But some of them do have like kanji on them and things like that. So you have to like be mindful of like this one has 3 slashes, this one has 4 slashes, kind of thing. But yeah, once you get into a groove, it's really fun to play. Like I said, the aesthetics of it, just like with Pretty Girls Panic, like it's a solid game. The girls seem pretty secondary to it, but I enjoyed actually playing it.
Yeah, and reminder, this is not porny, this is just fan servicey. So
it's
you get some cleavage, some underboob, but there's no like this isn't Aki's game.
Yeah, it's not rated for nudity or anything like that. Or it might be like partial nudity because that's just kind of what they have to say if there's enough cleavage. Yeah. So,
all right, well, $5, what do you say?
$5, I mean, like I said, like with the last game, it's like I'm hard to think of like who the like actual aesthetic like girl part of this game is going to like attract, but the gameplay itself is actually pretty solid, and I'd say go for it if that sounds like your thing. If you're too embarrassed though, just go find another game of Rivers. I mean, it's a pretty popular game. I had it on Windows 95, so there you go.
Cool, there you go. All right, well that is it for this episode. Made it through everything. We did it. Go team.
Did we?
All right.
I don't know. I'm looking at Pretty Girls Mahjong Man. I don't know if I quite made it.
You'll get there, Pernell. Keep working.
Steam just knows I'm going to love it. Steam is like, we know you'll love this game. Please play. And now that I find out it's just a dress-up game, I got to say, I'm interested.
Well, only $5. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Good stuff. All right. Yeah, this is a pretty solid episode. They were all pretty good games this episode. I like when that happens.
Yeah, definitely. The kids we were was the star of the show for me.
It just blew my mind.
Well, good thing that's the title of the episode because of their
it has to be
because of their Wove It restrictions and all that fun stuff. Yay!
Well, thank you for getting me that game that I requested, even though it means compromising the artistic integrity of this podcast.
Yeah. There you go. That's what we definitely have.
Oh,
integrity.
Hot Gimmick Cosplay Zhong. That's the game that I reviewed.
That's a game?
Yeah, it's a game where you strip down like girls by playing Mahjong, but they're like, you feel bad because they're actually like really embarrassed about it and stuff. like
why did you agree to play? I don't understand.
That's a game from like the 90s that they for some reason reintroduced on the Switch. I reviewed it like 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah, we get you all the fun Switch games like that.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah, you and Aki are our After Dark crew.
Unless it's freaking Morero Dungeon or something. It's okay.
Hey, I'm down for this senior citizens volleyball. What is this again? I'm very interested.
We'll find out about that in a future episode. But
my bad.
We're gonna wrap up this episode. Gonna play some holiday music. We're gonna kick off our holiday Christmas music spectacular.
Is that just the regular music, but with jingle bells over it?
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Hell yeah.
You should make one this year. Like, take a gimmick song and just throw some sleigh bells on it.
Hey, you know what? The funny thing is that Animal Crossing did that. I didn't realize, but as soon as winter starts, they just play the same background music, but now it's got jingle bells and
hilarious.
That's the dumb shit we do. So let's listen to some of that. Anyone have any final words?
I just want to tell Pernell that I only cried in original Dragon Quest Builders because they took my town away. My first town, I spent like 20 hours making a castle. Anyways, that's why I cried. I just, Pernell, I gotta have my pride over here.
It's like, hey, do it again. It's okay. Just make it again. Like,
didn't know, man. I built every person in that town a bedroom. I have vines on the castle walls. It was so cool. I was not ready for that. But it's an awesome game.
If it makes you feel any better, at least it didn't disband your senior citizens volleyball nudity team.
Yeah, I always have that.
That would have been hurtful.
We'll always have naked old men.
But we brought it right back to Lemon Party where we started at the very beginning of our show tonight.
Full circle.
Can't believe it. You did this.